Ivor, when the Nuremberg trials took place in 1945, you were a 14-year-old boy.
Correct.
I suppose the first question for me is, at what age, at what stage of your life did it finally dawn on you that the leaders of the Nazi killing machine had been brought to account?
I think I was so young and so short, so inexperienced in life that I wanted to build up a life myself. So I did not concentrate too much about actually what happened in the past. Needless to say, you can't forget something like that. Working up myself, a family, a business, and just your life in general. So although I knew about all that, but I can't say I gave it too much thought other than, yes, I mean, I'm interested in that because I was involved in it.
And do you think justice was served at Nuremberg?
I think that's a very, very hard question to answer because even if you say justice has been served, even if you take it, each one of those Germans or the people that were put on trial, if each one would have been cut in pieces, would that give him any pleasure? No, definitely not. When you say justice, obviously you feel as though there had to be an answer somewhere along the line. But the crime was so huge and so unusual that you can never justify something like that. I mean, you can try to dress it up with any overcoat or paint that you want, but you cannot justify it.
So for a crime as horrific as genocide, what does justice then look like for you?
The justice to me would be if people would have learned from the lesson from that history and show proof that people have learned. But I'm afraid looking around the world today, I wonder if there has been much learned about that. So when you say about justice, other than I said, all I can think about revenge, not so much justice. About taking revenge, no, I don't think so.
It's interesting you mentioned the word revenge because for some people, what others call justice looks like revenge on the other side.
Exactly. But can I just jump forward? I was interviewed about 4 years ago in Germany. Would I be a witness? There was an SS guard putting on trial, who's prepared to stand trial for the SS atrocities to do with the Hungarian jury. And the judge who was dealing with the case phoned me up and asked me, would you mind coming to Germany and be a witness? I said, I'll be happy to be a witness, but I cannot come to Germany. He said, well, it's a shame that considering it might be the last time there'll be a trial about the witness, that somebody there who has actually lived through it would make such a big difference. I said, as hard as it can be, no, I can't go. But I said that to my children later on. They said, Dad, as much as it hurts you, you must go along. It's such an important occasion. Anyway, to bring the story forward, when the trial was on, I was asked to come to stand a witness, and the accused, the German officer, was wheeled in literally two nurses, one nurse outside of him, and two lawyers. And as I looked at him, I kid you not, I could feel my hatred just leaving my body. I think to myself, look at it, just a poor old man. And I was actually rather disgusted with myself, that I felt not pity, but that did my hatred disappear. And yet, what I saw was just an ordinary old human being. I don't know, my hatred just went.
So the Nuremberg trials happened in 1945, and that's been 75 years.
Right.
How often would you say you reflect on what happened at Nuremberg?
Obviously, now, being history, I do watch it with a different perspective than I did at the time when I was young. Thinking back, as I mentioned before, that I've never been asked a question. Thinking back, when trying to think back 70 odd years, nothing particular, other than I was pleased that something is being done, that the world has acknowledged the Holocaust has happened. But other than that, I can't say that I was overjoyed or I was feeling any sort of revenge against it. No, maybe quite often, you know, something you say that question. Quite often, I feel ashamed of myself to feel because I don't feel more hatred. I think to myself, Ivor, what's wrong with you? Look what you went through. You've lost all your family and everything. Never mind about millions of people, it's your family. Surely you've got some hatred in you. And I feel to say, you know what? No, I haven't.
Maybe that speaks about your ability to forgive people that have done wrong to you.
Forgive, never. Forget, possible. But forgive, no, never, 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 never. I would come from Hungary in a town nobody's ever heard of. If I mentioned to you the Mokol, nobody has heard of it. And I thought to myself, how is it possible that somebody from Germany came over there to hunt me out, to get rid of, to kill my family and take me to the camps? And how can one logically even think about it? I mean, all right, atrocities happen, wars happen. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it's human nature. But to do something like that, and I think to myself, well, how can you forgive someone like that? No, forgive never.
So, final question then, Ivor. If a young person came to you today and said, what does justice look like in the 21st century? What answer would you give them?
What is justice? Justice depends who gives out the justice. Supposing, as I said, supposing Germany would have won the war, who would have been put on trial? So you're saying about justice depends who gives out justice. To brought the Nazis on trial, but then what? Once they're found guilty, then what? What cut them up in pieces, burn them, or what? I mean, what would justice do then?
So for you, the most important thing is education, to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen again.
Yes, education, but also what you do with education. Because mind you, sorry to be contradictory there as well. Who was the most educated country in the world in the 1930s? Germany. So what did he do with the education? So education on his own is very, very, also has to be channeled in the right way.